Grigory put his hand inside that metal glove and connected its other end to the portal. The moment the glove powered on, he pressed the switch and a crack of lightning burst out, linking him directly to the portal. He began chanting the spell, and instantly the gateway to another world opened. On the other side of the portal, the chaotic demon gods were imprisoned inside crystal cages. At that time, the Nazis were on the verge of losing the war, and in an attempt to change the situation, they tried to harness supernatural powers. But the elite forces had already discovered their operation. 2 grenades suddenly exploded in the crowd, and one of the researchers was blasted straight into the portal, where he was instantly reduced to ashes. Right after that, elite soldiers stormed inside with their bayonets drawn. Even this sudden attack could not stop Grigory's ritual. His men were incredibly powerful fighters. Within moments they overwhelmed the elite soldiers. Meanwhile, one of the elite doctors threw a bomb at the portal. The device was destroyed, and Grigory could no longer withstand the immense pull coming from it. He was dragged into the portal itself and vanished inside it forever. The Nazi conspiracy failed, but the doctor was still worried because the portal had remained open for quite some time. Something might already have crossed over from the other side. Moments later, the soldiers hear movement behind them. They slowly turn around and discover something shocking: a small red-skinned demon child with a gigantic stone-like right hand. Instead of attacking it, the professor gently picks the child up and offers him a chocolate bar. Surprisingly, the creature responds peacefully. The soldiers soon realize that this strange child came from the other dimension during the portal incident. Since he appeared to be some kind of demon boy, the military gives him the name Hellboy. 60 years pass. In the present day, Rasputin's surviving followers carry a man to a mysterious holy location. The man is brutally sacrificed, and his blood is collected as part of another dark ritual. Using this blood ceremony, Rasputin finally returns to Earth after being trapped in the other dimension for decades. Meanwhile, the old professor who once discovered Hellboy has now become elderly and seriously ill. Doctors inform him that he only has 2 months left to live and urge him to remain hospitalized. However, the professor refuses because he wants to spend his remaining time with the son he raised, Hellboy. He returns to the secret paranormal research facility where supernatural threats are investigated. Knowing his time is limited, the professor transfers a new agent to the organization. When the agent arrives, the professor introduces him to a strange psychic individual who possesses incredible mental abilities. The professor explains that they found this gifted person locked inside a private cellar. His powers are extraordinary. He can read 4 books at the same time and absorb information instantly. Soon afterward, a senior agent arrives, and the professor instructs him to take the newcomer further inside the facility. They eventually enter a room where Hellboy himself is waiting. Although 60 years have passed since his arrival on Earth, Hellboy still looks young, powerful, and energetic. The new agent is completely shocked after seeing the massive red demon standing before him. Hellboy immediately asks who the newcomer is. The senior agent explains that the man is now part of their team, but Hellboy arrogantly says he does not need any partner. Quietly, the senior agent tells the newcomer to offer Hellboy the same chocolate bar the professor once used years ago. The moment Hellboy sees the chocolate, his expression changes and he asks emotionally if his father has returned. The agent confirms that the professor is back. Suddenly, an emergency alarm begins blaring throughout the facility. The entire team rushes toward a museum where a brutal attack has just taken place. Several people inside have already been killed by a mysterious creature. After entering the museum, the psychic team member senses the creature's presence and tells Hellboy that it is still somewhere inside the building. Hellboy orders everyone else to stay outside while he hunts the monster alone. Inside the dark museum halls, Hellboy finally encounters the terrifying creature. Without hesitation, he launches into battle and seemingly kills it during their first encounter. However, when Hellboy exits the museum, the psychic investigator studies the creature carefully and reveals something horrifying. The monster possesses resurrection abilities. That means it cannot truly die so easily. Realizing the creature may still be alive, Hellboy returns to confront it once again. Another violent battle begins between them, causing destruction throughout the museum. This time Hellboy manages to defeat the creature again before finally leaving the scene. After Hellboy departs, the rest of the team investigates the area. By touching objects around the museum, the psychic member receives visions revealing that Rasputin and his companions had secretly visited this place earlier. They discover the truth behind the attacks. Rasputin intends to summon an ancient god of evil into the human world. The psychic investigator also learns that Rasputin was responsible for releasing the monster Hellboy fought earlier. The professor becomes deeply worried after hearing this information. While examining the professor through his psychic abilities, the investigator also discovers that the old man is terminally ill. Later, Hellboy visits a mental hospital to meet a girl named Liz Sherman, who used to work with their team. Liz possesses dangerous pyrokinetic powers that allow her to control fire. Unfortunately, she struggles to manage these abilities, and in the past her uncontrolled flames caused terrible destruction. Because of this, she admitted herself into the hospital hoping to gain control over her powers. Hellboy asks Liz to return with him, but she hesitates. She explains that although she hates staying in the hospital, her condition has improved since arriving there. She claims that no accidents have happened recently and she is finally learning to suppress the fire within her. Before Hellboy can convince her further, members of his team arrive and force him to return to headquarters. During his fight with the museum creature, Hellboy had received a strange wound on his arm. When the psychic investigator examines the injury, he discovers something horrifying hidden beneath the skin: eggs. The creature had implanted its eggs into Hellboy's body during the battle. The psychic explains that these creatures reproduce by stinging their victims and laying eggs inside them. He also reveals two important weaknesses of the species. They cannot survive bright light or intense heat. Darkness and damp environments are necessary for the eggs to mature properly. The professor suddenly realizes something terrifying. Hellboy fought the creature inside a dark basement, exactly the kind of environment needed for the eggs to grow. He immediately orders Hellboy and the entire team to return there the next day and destroy every egg before they hatch. The following day, Hellboy, the psychic investigator, and the new agent travel down into the underground area beneath the museum. They begin searching through the wet tunnels and flooded chambers. While exploring underwater sections of the basement, the psychic investigator discovers that the creature has laid hundreds of eggs hidden beneath the water, but the monster itself is still alive. The creature suddenly attacks him underwater and nearly kills him. At the last second, the investigator escapes back to the surface. The monster bursts out of the water moments later and violently kills two agents standing nearby. Hearing the chaos, Hellboy charges into battle once again. A brutal fight erupts between him and the resurrected creature. After an intense struggle filled with destruction and bloodshed, Hellboy finally succeeds in killing the monster once and for all. However, Rasputin also had another terrifying companion, a gigantic masked warrior whose body seemed almost indestructible. Bullets had absolutely no effect on him. During the chaos, he attacks the senior agents mercilessly and leaves them badly wounded. One of the soldiers cleverly pretends to be dead when Hellboy arrives at the scene, and Hellboy believes him. By this point, almost everyone has been injured except Hellboy himself. Meanwhile, the team realizes the horrifying truth about the creatures they are fighting. If these monsters are not stopped quickly, they could spread across the entire world and wipe out humanity. Even worse, after Hellboy kills one of the creatures, a strange glowing light emerges from its body. The investigators understand something terrifying from this phenomenon. Killing one creature can actually result in two more being born. The threat is growing instead of decreasing. At the same time, the professor brings Liz Sherman back to the home where he once lived. Shortly afterward, Hellboy also arrives there and becomes visibly happy after seeing Liz. He has secretly loved her for a long time, but he has never found the courage to confess his feelings. Elsewhere inside the house, the professor begins examining the dead body of Rasputin's male companion. Something feels suspicious to him. As he investigates further, he discovers that the body contains not even a single drop of blood. It becomes clear that this creature is not human at all. Soon afterward, the professor walks downstairs, only to realize something horrifying. The supposedly dead companion has awakened. Wearing his clothing once again, the creature calmly walks toward the professor. The professor immediately understands that everything was part of a carefully planned trap. He says that he has encountered only a pawn, but now he wishes to meet the true mastermind behind the conspiracy. At that exact moment, Grigory Rasputin himself appears from the shadows. Rasputin mockingly congratulates the professor and tells him that none of this would have happened if he had killed Hellboy 60 years ago when the demon first arrived on Earth. Then Rasputin places his hand upon the professor's forehead and forces him to witness a terrifying vision of the future. In the vision, Hellboy's filed-down horns grow back into massive demonic horns. The entire world burns beneath oceans of fire while destruction spreads everywhere. Hellboy stands at the center of the apocalypse as flames consume civilization itself. Moments later, Rasputin's monstrous servant brutally murders the professor. When Hellboy later returns to the house, he discovers his father lying dead. The sight completely devastates him. The professor was the only true family Hellboy had ever known, and losing him shatters him emotionally. Near the professor's body, the team discovers a note containing the name of a mysterious location. Determined to stop Rasputin once and for all, they all travel there together. The psychic investigator, however, is unable to accompany them because he has become dangerously ill. The remaining team members arrive at the location and discover ancient ruins hidden deep within the area. As they cautiously enter the ruins, Rasputin's monstrous assassin suddenly appears before them, the same creature responsible for murdering the professor. Filled with rage, Hellboy attacks him immediately. Since Hellboy is physically far stronger, an intense fight erupts between them. Eventually, Hellboy crushes and kills the assassin with his overwhelming strength, avenging his father's death. During the chaos, Hellboy becomes separated from the rest of the team. Elsewhere within the ruins, the others discover a gigantic nest filled with hundreds of eggs belonging to the monstrous creatures. Suddenly, countless creatures emerge and attack them from every direction. Hellboy also encounters the swarm and fights them fearlessly, but this battle is far more difficult than anything before. The creatures possess enormous strength and attack in overwhelming numbers. At that critical moment, Liz arrives at the battlefield. Realizing that only her fire powers can destroy the monsters completely, she tells the agent to provoke her emotionally. The confused agent reluctantly strikes her across the face. Instantly, Liz's anger ignites her pyrokinetic abilities. Flames erupt from her hands as her powers awaken fully. She quickly orders the agent to hide behind the rocks for safety. Then Liz unleashes her full power. Massive waves of fire explode outward in every direction, burning every creature and every egg within the ruins. The entire nest is engulfed in flames as the monsters are completely annihilated by her overwhelming pyrokinetic power. However, the immense energy exhausts Liz completely. Both she and Hellboy lose consciousness after the battle ends. When Hellboy finally wakes up, he realizes that he has been captured. Standing before him are Rasputin and his followers. Liz lies nearby, still unconscious, while the agent has been imprisoned as well. In the center of the chamber stands a gigantic ancient stone, a mysterious rock that had supposedly fallen from the heavens long ago. Rasputin reveals that this stone serves as the key to opening the portal to the other world. That night also happens to be a complete lunar eclipse, making it the perfect moment to unlock the gateway. Rasputin then asks Hellboy whether he knows why his right hand is so enormous. He finally reveals the truth. Hellboy's giant stone hand is actually the key required to open the portal to the demonic realm. Rasputin orders Hellboy to unlock the gateway for them, but Hellboy immediately refuses. Smiling coldly, Rasputin asks whether Hellboy would refuse even for Liz's soul. Using dark magic, Rasputin removes Liz's soul from her body and claims that her spirit now waits on the other side of the portal. If Hellboy wishes to save her and bring her back to life, he must obey. Desperate to rescue Liz, Hellboy attempts to destroy the magical locks restraining the portal. But Rasputin explains that the locks can only be opened by Hellboy's true identity. Hellboy cannot break them through force alone. He must speak his real demonic name aloud. Under emotional pressure, Hellboy finally speaks his true name. The moment he does, the locks unlock automatically. At the same time, Hellboy's filed-down horns suddenly grow back into gigantic demonic horns crowned with flames. He slowly walks toward the ancient stone portal. Outside, the lunar eclipse reaches its peak as midnight arrives. Hellboy inserts his giant stone hand into the opening within the rock and begins unlocking the gateway. A brilliant beam of light shoots upward toward the moon as the portal to the other world finally opens completely. A monstrous cosmic entity, an ancient god of evil, begins emerging from the darkness beyond the portal. Now Hellboy must unlock the final seal that will allow the god to fully enter Earth. Just as he is about to do it, the imprisoned agent desperately shouts at him. He reminds Hellboy of who he truly is and begs him not to forget the man who raised him. The agent throws the crucifix from the professor's rosary toward Hellboy. The sight of the rosary triggers memories of his father's love, kindness, and teachings. Hellboy remembers the values the professor raised him with and realizes that he alone can choose what kind of being he wants to become. In a powerful act of defiance, Hellboy grabs his massive demonic horns and snaps them off himself. The instant the horns break, the portal begins collapsing and sealing shut once again. Then Hellboy uses one of the broken horns as a weapon and violently stabs Rasputin through the body. Afterward, Hellboy picks up Liz and prepares to leave. But Rasputin, somehow still alive, laughs and warns them that killing him has only created something even worse. Suddenly, a horrifying monstrous creature bursts out from Rasputin's body. The beast immediately kills Rasputin's female companion before turning its attention toward Hellboy. A brutal battle begins between Hellboy and the gigantic monster, but the creature is immensely powerful and nearly unstoppable. Hellboy realizes he has only one chance left. He takes a bomb and deliberately allows the monster to swallow him whole. Once completely inside the creature's body, Hellboy detonates the explosive. The monster erupts into pieces from the inside and is finally destroyed forever. Miraculously, Hellboy survives the explosion and safely emerges alive. He returns to Liz and the agent. Liz is still unconscious and motionless. Believing he may lose her forever, Hellboy softly whispers into her ear that he finally understands she always belonged in his heart and always would. Hearing his words, Liz slowly regains consciousness. Overcome with emotion, Hellboy and Liz embrace each other as the nightmare finally comes to an end.